the right circumstances, guests will sometimes tell you something that's not in the research. On first inspection, Val Doonican's life looked as comfortable and easygoing as the rocking chair he sat in. But when I asked him about his father, a different story unfurled. A story not in the research. A story defining the relationship between father and son.
He called me down to the hut, and I sat down on the step, and he said to me, "I'd like you to do something for me, son." He said, "and I don't want you to tell your mother anything about this." Now, of course, that in our house was impossible, because you couldn't do that in our house without everybody knowing about it. You know, we always said that the first up in the morning was the best dressed. You know, but he said to me, he handed me a £2 jam jar, and he said to me, and a pair of scissors, and he said, "I want you to go out now," he said, "to Luby Lane. There's a little lane near my house where courting couples used to go. It was all covered in blackberry briars, which wasn't very good for the courting couples. But he said to me, "I want you to go up Luby Lane," he said, "and the blackberry briars are just coming into bloom," he said, "and I want you to cut the little blossoms off the end and put them into the jam jar and bring them back to me." Now, he said, "Don't tell your mother anything about this." And I said, "What are they for?" And he used to go, "Shh, Mum's the word." He said, "Off you go." So I went and I got these blackberry briars, and I brought them back to him. And still waiting to see what was going to happen. And he just took them and he said, "Off you go now, go on, off you go." And the next morning, we didn't have a bathroom, you see, and there was a tap on the wall out in the yard. And I went out there to get some water to wash myself to go to school. And my mother said, "Empty out some rubbish for her." And I emptied this into the dustbin. And there in the bottom of the dustbin were the blackberry briars, all in a little heap, and they were all wet and everything. And I thought, what? There's gratitude for you. He's just thrown them all out. Now, about 15 years after that, I think I was on tour in Scotland, Annie. I was in a show up in Scotland with Jack Ratcliffe, I think.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and I was touring with Jack Ratcliffe's show. And I came back to my digs one night, and I was looking through some old books while I was waiting for my beans on toast after the show. And I looked at this book, and it was called The Home Physician. And I turned over, and I was absolutely sickened. I saw written down there, "It was widely believed in country districts in Ireland many years ago that if you cut the ends off blackberry briars and boiled them and drank the water off them, it would cure cancer of the throat." Oh. Well, I nearly died. I mean, I was thinking of my poor dad, and he was down in this shed all on his own, you know. He had cancer in the throat. He knew he was dying, and he didn't want to upset me mum, you know. He didn't want to sort of tell her. And the loneliness of the whole thing, I burst out crying when I read it. I couldn't believe it.
Amazing
story.
And
he finally went into hospital, actually, and I used to go and see him every day when I came up from school. I used to go up to see him, and my mother used to send him up his tobacco and his matches and the daily paper and everything, and I used to take them up to him. And as time went on, I mean, his whole face sort of disappeared, bless him, and he was all in bandages. His whole head was in bandages. But the last thing he said to me has got to be the most profound thing I've ever heard in my life. I sat by the bed talking to him, and he said to me, "You know I'm going to die, don't you?" And I said, "Yes, I do." I said, "Mum told me you were going to die." Well, he said, "I think I'm going to die pretty quickly," he said, "so I would like it if you didn't come and see me anymore." And I said, "Okay." And then he said, well, I got up to say goodbye to him. And he said, "Before you go," he said, "there's something I think I should say to you." Now, he said, "You think I'm terrific, don't you?" And I said, "Yes, I do." Well, he said, "I think before I die, it's only fair if I should tell you that I'm not." Because he said, "When I'm gone," he said, "I'm sure a lot of people will tell you I'm no good, and there's nothing would please me more than for you to say, 'Yes, I know, he told me that himself.'"